Salutations!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face! Ah!
Ooh, we did this last year, but I'm doing it again. Ooh, I forgot to do like a fun spooky intro last episode, so I'm gonna do it now.
I remember last episode that we had our special guest on, we got Ethereal Wind.
You got wind. I was going to do it again, but since you called it out, I'm not going to do it.
She broke Ethereal Wind out of the gate, and still one of my favorite moments on the show.
How's it going? Ethereal Wind. Nice to meet you.
Ethereal Wind. Rocky Crevasse.
Mr. Crevasse. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Film Majors. I'm Zach.
I'm Mick.
I'm
Alexis.
Hello. And I'm Kristen Semedo, back again.
Yes, Kristen is back again in the studio, which is great because I was lonely. Mick is not here. Mick is allergic to being in Los Angeles for spooky season.
It is the never-ending curse. I don't think I've been in LA during spooky season since moving there.
Yeah, since
I've never had an LA spooky season.
You were here in
the first year.
22, at least a little bit.
That's because you were working.
The first year we did the podcast.
We were working on Billy Knight then, weren't we? Yeah, we were still working on Billy Knight. Yeah.
Yes, you were.
Yeah,
you were.
But we were here.
I remember this. We can run the tape back. That's the nice thing about having done the podcast.
You guys had a party at the apartment.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so the curse. Okay.
Yeah.
There's some pliability in the curse. Good to know.
And quite honestly, I can't give you too much crap about this because I was gone for most of last October. We pre-recorded. Well, Kristen, it's so nice to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure.
What's going on?
It's so much, and also not a lot at the same time. Somehow that happens to me. Let's see. Well, I'm in post for the short that I shot this summer that Mick helped immensely on.
Congratulations.
So
That's awesome.
He can also speak to that. Yeah. So that's taken up my life. A bunch of other weird stuff, like going to Arizona in a couple of days again because my alma mater wants to put me in a TV commercial and have me act like I'm directing, which is very weird and uncomfortable.
Star of screen and stage.
They're like, we want to put you on a 16 millimeter camera on a dolly, and then you'll push into us. And I was like, just so you know, I don't shoot film, and also I don't operate, and so that's kind of weird. That's not what I do. And they're like, yeah, but it'd be really cool in a television commercial. I was like, okay, and they're paying for shit, so it's fine. It's just very bizarre.
Humboldt's not reaching out to us, so congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Jesus Christ. Our mic is jumping at Kristen.
I didn't even do anything that time. I'm going to hold it up here.
Boy, all right.
Alexis, isn't
The
this
Sam
just
Raimi of it
embarrassing?
all. Huh?
Isn't this just embarrassing to watch?
Yeah, this is really, really terrible. Sorry, guys, I fucked up here.
Plastic table action they got going
These
on.
mics
I
are-
mean, I'm on my remote controlled
I've
desktop.
I've got this clipped here. It ain't going nowhere.
It looks like you are tantalizing your titties.
Yeah,
That's
you
what that
just,
looked like. It looked like you were flicking your nails.
Nick tantalizing the titties. Absolutely. That's what I do. That's what I bring to this show. Happy spooky season.
Yeah, I'm really glad we don't film this.
Yeah.
Not yet. But soon the tantalizing titties will be out for the world to see.
Oh, great. I mean, listen.
Yeah,
there's,
then we'll
there's
really get
something
that
to keep you
explicit
coming back.
rating.
Absolutely.
It's okay to be a slut on Halloween, Meg.
That's why I love the holidays, dude. You get drunk, you eat good food, you get slutty. Follow us on Fansly, Film Majors Pod.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like October, Thanksgiving, and October, November, and December are just really, it's like a slew of just sluts because you got the costumes of October, you've got the thanks for November, but then you got the giving for December.
True.
What?
I mean, there's
No, I didn't follow that at all. You don't have to say true, Kristen. You can push back on
I don't
that.
follow that, Alexis. I'm sorry. You get the thanks in November and the giving in December? It's a slurry of sleuths.
No, let's break this down in terms of how you're getting slutty each holiday. So, like, Halloween, it's a given. We all know it's visual.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, I guess, like, you're going back to your hometown. Maybe you're, like, reconnecting with people you haven't seen.
You're going to the
I don't think
bar
that was the
everyone
giving I
goes
was
to.
thinking of, but okay.
I've seen
Well, the
people
giving part-
fetishize the Grinch before, so you could be giving Grinch energy.
I mean, that makes sense, because the Grinch is a sexual being.
He's a sexual, like, machine.
Do you think the Grinch has a cloaca?
Has a what?
A cloaca? You know how birds have, like, one
What?
hole? I just think about this sometimes.
say
How does the
cloaca?
Grinch reproduce?
I don't know.
You can't say cloaca before noon. That's not right.
Well, that
This
got
has
really
solidly
different.
gone off the rails, and I'm having a great time. It's
Have
good
you
to be
seen any
back.
movies lately? Have you seen any films?
Well, I feel like this is a real cop-out because everyone has seen this and is talking about it, but The Substance was the last thing I saw in theaters.
Okay.
Which I assume everyone here has seen. I would be
I
surprised.
have seen The Substance. Alexis has not. Mick has
Alexis.
seen
Darn
The
it,
Substance.
Alexis.
Oh my
No,
god.
I don't even know if I think I might have missed my chance to see it in theaters here
Oh,
in Fresno.
man.
Is it, it's not in theaters anymore already?
Is
It
it
literally
out?
just stopped playing at our theaters on Thursday. I have to check the other not Regal ones. I have the monthly like pass for Regal, so that's usually where I go, but I
You
just
have to
couldn't
see it
get
in
myself
theater.
to
Yeah,
Like
it,
the
house.
it's a theater movie.
Yeah,
it is 100%.
My theater I went to the AMC at the Grove, and it was sold out. And I sat in the very back, and then there was just this row of old, I'm assuming Italian ladies, like probably like in their
course.
70s with their popcorn and stuff. And I like, you know, I knew about the movie. I didn't know quite the extent of the movie, but I knew what the movie was generally going to be. So I'm like, I don't know if they know. Are they in the right theater? Am I in the wrong theater? Like, I was really worried about these women. And when it started going off the rails, they didn't get up. They laughed. They were having a good time. They were having a good ass time. They did not leave.
I think old people are liking this movie because Edwin, our previous guest, was like saw it in a theater with like an elderly couple, and he was like, "Oh, are they gonna be upset by this?" And they were like, "No, get her!"
Yeah. They did. It was like a whole family of old Italian women, and like they were just, I don't know, maybe because Italians are a little bit different with horror.
Yeah,
So like
they
maybe
sure
their
are.
their skin's a little bit thicker, but it was a shocking experience. That's all I can say.
Nice, excellent. Well, I talked about The Substance on our last episode. Mick talked about it on the episode before. I don't know if I'm as hot on it as everyone else, but like, what a fucking good time at the movies.
Yeah.
That's I back-to-back weeks I saw movies that just had like insane audience reactions because I saw The Substance the previous weekend and then I saw Megalopolis.
I haven't seen it, but
I liked it.
So we haven't.
Mick,
Wait. We haven't talked about that yet on this show, right? Like,
I've talked about it.
But yeah, I
Okay.
talked about it briefly, but now me and Mick have both seen it. So
yes.
I haven't seen it at all.
Okay, let's try to I mean, I don't
I'm
know
not
that
gonna
it's
see
really a Kristen,
It's
do you
okay.
not love cinema?
You don't
I
don't need
don't.
to see it. You don't need to see it, Kristen. I'm
You
telling you.
have to see
Hey,
it.
Oh,
you
I'm
know,
feeling
if you have
confused.
like a special horse in the race like I do about Adam Driver, then of course you're gonna go see it.
I
You know?
do
Sure.
love Adam Driver.
I mean, Alexis has her whole portfolio is in Adam Driver stock. She's really overexposed on this. She's completely
Yeah.
over her skis. It's bad.
I did see I saw one clip from the movie where he was monologuing about like literature and art or some shit, and like the line was so uncomfortable
Go
to
back
hear.
to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. Well, I think how much did it cost? It cost like a super.
120 million.
And it's only made like
$7?
$1 million. Yeah, $7. I think it's only made like 1.6 million so far.
So that's
what's
what
wrong with
blows
this
my
society.
mind. When I saw this in theaters in England, I was expecting it to be beautiful, and there were some pretty shots in there, but by and large, that is an ugly film. Like, it looks
I
cheap.
kind of liked it.
You know how much they probably
I don't know if
paid
it looks
so many
cheap.
of the actors in order
I
to be
do
in
know
this
it looks
movie.
cheap. I can't believe it cost $120 million because it does not look it in the slightest.
I
It's
believe
kind
it.
of mind-boggling to me.
Jesus Christ.
So Mick doesn't like it.
I do.
Zach really liked it.
I do.
I
not.
had a lot of fun.
Yeah, why did you like
in
it?
the middle.
Listen, it's a hard movie to defend because, like, it is a complete mess. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, Mick can bring up as many things about this movie as he wants, and he will be correct. Like, I'm not out here saying that Megalopolis is like a streamlined film, but I had a lot of fun. There were, like, the stuff that worked for me, the moments that worked, the performances that worked really worked, and the performances that didn't still kind of worked for me.
I love wow.
Wow Platinum.
Wow Platinum, girl, what's up?
Like, it's a mess, but, like, it's my kind of mess. And there's nothing else like it. It's like I came out of this movie feeling distinctly like, oh, I understand how Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas are friends. Like, they're like bosom buddies, because this has real, if the Star Wars prequels were not at all bound by being Star Wars movies energy. And then I proceeded to see a tweet that was like, I love Megalopolis, a film that combines my two favorite movies, Citizen Kane and Attack of the Clones.
I do. Yeah.
I admire it. I do admire it. I don't hate it. I like that it is full of ideas. I like that it is so divisive. I like a movie that just, like, completely makes a lot of people angry in just like a...
Can't wait to see Joker 2.
Right, yeah, exactly. We have to watch Joker 2. We'll wait for that one.
Fully do it.
I enjoy it for that fact, but again, it's just like, it's like trying to sit through the odd ramblings of an aging philosopher, like the philosophical ramblings of a genius. Like, it just
but it was
doesn't...
really hot.
It's just not cohesive.
I want to hear Alexis's thoughts.
It's just not cohesive. It is just... It's like so didactic, and it tries to be preachy, and yet it's so fucking hollow. It's so fucking hollow. It says nothing. It's trying to, like at the end when it showed the wreckage of, like, the World Trade Center and Hitler. Fuck off.
Hey, Mick.
Mick,
I have a counterpoint.
It's hot.
Come on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, buddy. I want to hear Alexis's take.
I'm desperate too.
All right. Well, let me preface this with, I saw this back to back with Beetlejuice. I saw Beetlejuice first, and then I saw Megalopolis. And in classic me fashion, because I saw Megalopolis second and it started at like 10 p.m., I did fall asleep for like a solid like 5 minutes, I think. I can't tell what happened.
You wouldn't be able to if you were awake.
It probably wasn't important, to be honest. No. But let me tell you, there was, like, multiple times in the movie where I was just, like, sitting there, and there was just so much Driver on the screen, and he was just, like, going on, and I was just thinking to myself, God, that was, like, well-spent money at Juilliard, for sure. Like, who else is gonna be on this screen for 2 hours just, like, chewing the scene of this? It was so dense in places that I was just like, that's crazy. But then it's Adam Driver, and I was like, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow. And then I just giggle a little bit and, like, kick my feet. And
there is something I really love, though, about knowing that, like brilliant directors are not protected from doing shitty stuff, like, way into their career. I don't know, like, it's humbling. Like, it's like reverse humbling. I don't feel humbled, but, like, his being humbled makes me feel better about making any kind of garbage in my future.
I feel like I agree with Mick about where it's like, oh, I kind of admire that he would make this. Like, I straight up was like, I love that this man was like, I'm gonna take millions of my dollars and I'm just gonna throw it at this movie.
Yeah.
And there's just something kind of heartwarming about it. It's kind of like like Zach, you said like there's nobody clearly said no to him, and I'm like, why would they? Let him do it, you know? Like that's how I felt in the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. This movie is like so undisciplined because he could just do anything. He could tell the actors do anything, and you can see how that can sometimes be a problem. I think this is the best.
I kind of like that.
But this is the best argument I've seen of why Quentin Tarantino should retire early. Because when he talks about how when you get old and you just lose touch, I'm going to think of Megalopolis as that argument. You know what? Maybe
I
has
disagree.
A point.
I wouldn't want to live in a world without a megalopolis. It's so unique. Like, Mick, are you sad that you saw it?
Yes.
God, that's sad. That's sad.
Not.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm glad someone
I
still believes in the power of art and the power of love. Thank you, Alexis.
I don't know. I think it's just kind of interesting to see what somebody with a shit like. Okay, we can all agree that like Coppola is a decent director. He's a good director, right? And like
it's
just it's interesting to see what he would do with that much money and that much leeway and that dense of a topic, and then just the fact that the overarching themes were just like so almost overextended, you know, that it's like he couldn't possibly really like finish fully fleshing those out in a way that I don't know. It was just like it was very what would the word be like when you're like reaching for something you don't quite get it.
Ambitious.
It was really ambitious. I will admit that. And you know, for fucking how old is this man? Like 80 years old. Like I'm like
85.
Hey, yo, fuck it, man. You know. And then he got Aubrey Plaza to just be her wild, crazy ass self, like just fully. I don't know. And you know, I mean, like Shia LaBeouf, whatever, but loved Claudio. That shit was wild. Him in the dress,
Claudio
like his
Pulcher,
dress.
#Pulcher for the culture.
His bits with like raising up the people in the streets, and then you know, I don't know. I there was a lot that I really liked about Megalopolis. I wouldn't say that I'm like, oh my god, I'm like hella hot on the movie, like all together. But there was like bits and pieces that I was like, wow, iconic, you know.
I think it has cultural value as a cautionary tale, but that's the thing. It's just, here's the thing though. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but like if Francis Ford Coppola wasn't attached to this, we wouldn't be fucking talking about it because it's just garbage. It's a bad film. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a bad film.
I think if this movie came out and anyone made it, I would absolutely be compelled by it. Like, I would be fascinated by this thing because there's so much fucking going on.
It is.
I mean, if it was Adam Driver and a different director, I probably still would have been sat in that theater, and I still would have been like,
really? If Adam Driver wasn't in this
Alexis
movie,
went and saw 64. Let's be clear.
Yeah, I did. 65. Okay, 65 million years ago, not 64. Okay.
Alexis, if Adam Driver was not in this movie, you'd still go and see it.
If Adam Driver was not in this movie, I don't think it would work. He like the stuff is so dense. Like I just think that I mean I guess any actor that's been like somewhat classically trained would probably thrive in that role. I guess, but I just love. I don't know. He has a great physicality to him. He's willing to get weird with shit. And
you're talking about his hands.
What part of his? Yeah, I was about to say what part of his physicality.
Yeah, God, I saw so much of his hands. Really front and center, too.
Yeah, he's drawing for a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't want to dwell too long on Megalopolis.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I will in my personal life, but, like, on this episode. Okay, here's last question on Megalopolis. And Alexis, if you have a final point, go for it. But who's our Megalopolis MVP? Who do you think fared the best in this insane situation?
I'm gosh, it's all I can think about is that one scene between Shia LaBeouf and Aubrey Plaza, Claudio, and Auntie Wow.
I think.
Thank you, Auntie Wow. Thank you, Auntie Wow.
I think it's Dustin Hoffman. He fared the best Thank God he was in this, because this movie would not have worked if Dustin Hoffman weren't in it.
Oh boy.
I thought you were going to say because he gets crushed by rubble or
I mean, that
and
partly
he doesn't
is
have to be in Megalopolis any longer. I'm gonna say Aubrey Plaza. I think like for a movie that like clearly there was a lot of just like insane like we're figuring it out on the day, we're doing improv. Someone who like came out of the UCB pipeline fares well with that.
Yeah.
If I'm being ironic, John Voight, like that. Fuck me, man. I haven't seen a performance like I haven't seen a performance like that in a while.
Was that a line?
Yes. Before he kills Aubrey Plaza with a bow and arrow.
It's insane.
You're not convincing me to see the movie.
Got it. How, Kristen? God, we're just from different worlds. This is why your perspective's important. We're seeing things differently.
Oh God. Well, this is not. Sorry, I know we're trying to move, but not a Megalopolis thing. But something that occurred to me too to comment on is like Mick and I have seen a lot of movies this summer together, and almost every single one except for Oddity that we walked out of and looked at each other, we disagreed vehemently.
We have polar opposites. Yeah.
Like throat throttling disagreement.
Well, I wouldn't call it throat throttling disagreements.
Oh,
I didn't know it was that heated on your
For me, I was like, you like Cuckoo?
This is news to me.
I liked Cuckoo.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
It's pretty fun.
I remember when we left. I have to say, when we saw Cuckoo, that shit was so funny because as soon as the end credits rolled, we like looked at each other and we were like, I hated that. And I was like, what? I thought that was great. It's insane.
All right,
Sorry.
Alexis, final points on Megalopolis and then anything else anybody saw?
Oh, nothing. I think my MVP's got to be Aubrey Plaza too. I love that bitch.
Goddamn right, anti-wow.
And then, but I was just going to move on because I saw Beetlejuice right before that. So.
Thoughts on Beetlejuice?
You know, okay. So for the very first half of it, I kind of thought I was going to hate it. I'm not really sure that I liked where they went with Lydia's character. I felt like how she was really out of character for who she seemed like she was in the first movie. I don't know. There's just like, not that people don't grow and change, but it just seemed like she was very different from the younger girl, and like based on the experiences that she had when she was younger, that she would be like that when she was older. I don't know. And so then I was like, nah, okay. But as soon as we got to like the Land of the Dead, I was like, okay, well, this is fun. It's wacky. It's kooky. I did feel like Delia's character was like kind of giving Moira Rose a little bit in places. And I was just like, okay. I mean, not that I mind. I do love Schitt's Creek, but yeah. And then, I mean, the storylines were definitely all over the place. Overall, I enjoyed it, but it took me halfway through the movie to feel like, oh yeah, I think I like this. You know, I like where this is going. I hate fucking Justin Theroux's character. I think that's what it was I was like, I just like didn't believe that Lydia would be like taken in by this fucking guy. But I don't know.
Yeah, Kristen, did you see Beetlejuice?
I haven't. I was going to, actually. I was going to the day that I saw The Substance. It was going to be a double feature. So I saw Speaking of Evil before. Was going to do Beetlejuice after. But then I was like, The Substance, though. So I switched it. So I was like,
good
that
call.
close. Yeah.
I feel like probably good
Yeah.
call.
Nice.
Mick, have you seen any films?
So, despite everything that I've said about Megalopolis, out of the new movies I've seen, Megalopolis is definitely the best one. It's the one that I probably had the most enjoyment
Makes sense
with.
because it's a great time. So
I saw
totally
in
tracks.
the spirit of the times, spooky season of what I speak, on the flight to England and then on the flight from England back here to Philadelphia. I saw Sting, which is a 2024 horror film about a alien spider that terrorizes an apartment complex and takes many of the tenants one by one, and it is a solid crap fest. It's quite bad. There's something that bugs me about when a horror movie has like a decent premise, but clearly got confused during the making of it, going like, well, we also need to tell this human story. There's this family that's in tatters, and we have to have the family come together because at the end of the day, this spider represents the obstacles that faces this family, and it's like
the spider doesn't need to represent anything. The spider's a spider.
The spider is a spider. Give it. Do not let the humanizing of your human characters get in the way of a good horror story. Kristen, your short, I know you feel called out right now because that's kind of exactly what your movie is a lot different because it's an actual interesting idea instead of boo boo wham wham family needs to be together. Like, get the fuck out of here. Show me more spider. Why are we not with the spider?
This man, like, mostly AD'd until he did it on my short film that relied on a live Black Widow spider on set for a very important thematic motif. And now I'm sitting here and listening to him go, you know what is the fucking worst?
Yeah, because your spider, first of all, your spider was practical. This was a CGI bad spider. And this was not a thematic motif. It was what the movie should have been about. The everything else was just crap family and human interactions. Just don't do that stuff. It's a spider in a complex going to eat people. You have it. Don't fuck with it. Bad movie. And then I saw a worse one. On the flight back here, I saw Tarot, which was...
Why would you?
Which is... It is the worst horror film I've seen of the year. It is also a 2024 film. There are so many horror movies coming out this year that I want to try to see as many of them as possible, and that includes the not good ones. And let me tell you, when they go off to fight the demons and our very annoying lead white woman goes, but remember, Mercury is in retrograde. I wanted to just end it. I just wanted to end it. I've had a good life, and I knew that I just needed to be over it. The amount of horoscopes and zodiac signs, there is a solid 20-minute sequence, and this is not exaggeration, where they go through, there's this gang of friends that are all playing with these creepy tarot cards. 20 minutes where the lead character breaks down every character's zodiac sign.
Mick, you are being such a Gemini right now. Like,
Zach, shut the fuck up.
I'm a Gemini.
It is such a bad
Gemini man.
It's such a terrible film. The only thing it has going for it is that it's paced well. It has good pacing. It's short, it's quick, but oh my god, as I put in my Letterboxd review, like, terrible characters reciting atrocious dialogue and exposition about horoscopes in a horror film is my new ick. It is just, it's unforgivable. So, yeah, Megalopolis, watch that. It is interesting and has ideas. I don't think it's good, but yeah, at least that's ambitious.
I also just remembered, I'm not going to bring up Oddity, but Strange Darling.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
I've seen that a couple times. I actually really love it. Really, really love it.
Yeah.
Respect the shit out of it. Got to see a Q&A with the filmmakers at
interesting.
Vista. And I just like walked out of there like tears streaming down my face going, maybe making films is something I do want to do forever. I don't know. I found it gorgeous to look at, first of all, just on its own. I thought the acting was phenomenal. But I love a story told out of order. Has everyone seen it?
Strange Darling's one of my favorites of the year.
Okay, cool. Everyone's seen it. Okay, cool, yeah. I don't know. I love the idea of like starting in chapter 3 and then like going back to 1 and then jumping to 7 and like just trying to sort of work around figuring out what pieces of information am I actually missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was really fucking fun.
So, like, what about a movie that, like, feels like it's told out of order because it's confusing, like Megalopolis?
Oh my god. Stop trying to get me to watch it.
I want you to see it, Kristen. I want you to feel the power of love. I want you to say the Pledge of Allegiance to humanity.
Oh my god.
Mick hates love. All right. Do we have anything else?
Yes.
Wait, Alexis, go.
Yeah, wait, what were you going to say, Mick?
I was actually going to ask Krista what she thought of Speak No Evil, because you mentioned that, and I quite liked that.
I liked it. No, I haven't seen the original, just for what it's worth.
You should watch it. It's
I know.
really good.
I wanted to before I went, and then I just didn't. But like, you know, you go into that movie and you're like, okay, I know that they are trapped by these people that they trusted that they no longer can. I know they try to leave and then they get caught leaving. Like, I know that, which is like 2/3 of the movie, right? But I still think it kind of managed to make me wonder how they were going to get caught, and then how, like, I think it threw the pacing out of predictability just enough to keep me interested. Otherwise it would have just been like another, like, family tries to escape and fail several times, movie. But I think James McAvoy, honestly, that persona makes most of it work.
Okay.
Because, like, who doesn't love, like, a charming, good-looking, but also, like, deeply sadistic man? I mean, that's the terrible thing, is he's not gross or ugly to look at. So,
I
like,
love how
you're
Alexis just casually is nodding, like, yeah, I get it.
yeah. I mean,
Alexis just quietly turning red on her Zoom screen.
Okay,
Jesus.
shoot me.
Similar-
I love James McAvoy.
he's got it going on. But similar to how Mick was like, like, they're trying, you know, you're trying to make this about something it's not. I feel like it did do that a little bit with, like, James McAvoy's character being, like, what was it? He was, like, abandoned by his parents or some shit, and then the wife was in the foster system, and, like, I think it was trying to like,
I've already forgotten.
Make us. They were trying to make us, like, think deeply psychologically about these people, but then, like, I guess I didn't really understand the point. I don't want to give spoilers.
Okay.
I should have tagged.
No,
but,
this is interesting because none of that is in the Danish movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I would encourage you guys to watch it because
Okay.
I do want to see it.
I'm confident the ending is different.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, it's on my list.
Alexis, what were you going to say?
Oh yeah. So I also saw Much Ado About Nothing from I want to say it's like 1992 or 1993, and it's directed by Kenneth Branagh, and it stars Emma Thompson and Imelda Staunton's randomly in it. Before she, I think, had any, like, real, like, film acclaim. And then Kate Beckinsale, like a really, really young Kate Beckinsale. So cute. Honestly, kind of looks like a little girl a little bit. So I was like, can't even say she's hot because she's just very pretty and young. Yeah, I'm like, you're a child. But Denzel Washington's in it too, okay? And obviously Kenneth Branagh's in it as, like, he plays opposite of Emma Thompson's character, and they, like, end up together in the end. Spoiler for the Shakespeare play that came out hundreds of years ago.
Alexis, this is fucked up that you do this.
This film only came out in 1993.
And the play only came out in the 1500s.
You can't spoil it and then say spoiler. Oh,
come on.
I'm just all switched around.
Really
but
crossed
I
up.
mean, I really liked the movie. It's okay. Did you guys know that Kenneth Branagh cheated on Emma Thompson with Helena Bonham Carter, right?
Yes, because I read your Letterboxd review.
Okay, great. Well, somebody should. Yeah, so he did. And when I was, like, watching this movie, she is so fucking good. Like, I've seen Emma Thompson in a bunch of shit, and I always think, like, oh, wow, she's so great. But I saw her in this, and I think it's always different when you see somebody do Shakespeare, you know, and you realize, like, oh, this is, like, either, like, a classically trained person or just, like, a really, like, talented actor to be able to deliver this with, like, the cadence that is required for it to be rhythmic and to make sense. Denzel Washington, holy shit, that's the man. That is the man right there. That man right. And Shakespeare, a beautiful marriage.
That's
Emma
the
Thompson. The fact that Kenneth Branagh fumbled that bag so hard. Jail.
Yeah, but Helena Bonham Carter, Alexis. Helena Bonham Carter.
He didn't even stay with Helena Bonham Carter that long, okay? He was only with her for a few years,
Alexis, you know better than anyone else. You gotta hit it and quit it. You've said so yourself on this very show.
Okay.
When did she say that?
Have I ever said that about beautiful women, though? Okay.
No. That's true. That is fair.
There's a very big difference.
Yeah, Mick.
Man,
Oh,
I'm
Sam's
so
not
sorry,
listening.
but like if I had a chance with Emma Thompson in the 90s, you best believe I would have been like, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna put a ring on it. Anything you want, baby. You are like the most impressive thing I've ever seen. Just
Alexis, I hope she sees this, bro.
Yeah, I hope she sees this this
visual medium.
Visual medium.
Yeah.
if Kenneth
She's watching
Branagh
the
has
time code.
Okay, just preface this. Great movie. I think he did a great job directing. If he has no haters, then I am dead.
Well, I feel like that's as good a place to wrap this segment up.
That's a perfect segue to our
Let's
big topic.
hop out of what's going on. And we're back with our second big topic of spooky season. Cue the music. The music played. It's great. We all love it.
I listened to part of the last episode so I could hear what the music was.
Yeah,
Yay.
it's Alexis's scream. It's
From Bloody
from
Mary.
the end of
Oh,
Mick
from my
Short,
short?
Bloody Mary. Yeah,
Yeah.
that plays in all our spooky season
Oh
episodes.
my god, that's so special.
Yeah,
It is.
Alexis has a great
Right.
scream.
She is
have
our
a great
resident
scream.
scream queen. That
I
is
am.
true.
I still remember being in the sound booth and seeing your eyes low-key pop out of your socket when
They were swelling.
They were
they were
swelling.
oh man, that was fun.
Well, our big topic for today is our favorite PG-13 movies that get away with a lot. I'll turn it over to Kristen first.
Oh god. So I guess it depends on like I think the strict definition of like the difference between PG-13 and R is like I think it's like what like nudity that's sexual
Yeah.
compared to like nudity that's just nudity, and then like violence and gore and stuff. But I would posit that movies like The Grudge or The Ring were almost so disturbing and culturally effective.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember being whatever age I was, I don't know, 13 or 14 when The Grudge came out, and just like Nightmare City, like feeling freaked out all the time, like phone ring or whatever. Not that's The Ring, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that like gore is the main concern when it comes to like PG-13, like the difference between that and R. I would almost say, yeah, I guess when I thought about it, I think The Grudge kind of deserves to be in there a little bit.
I don't think is that the Japanese Grudge or the American Grudge?
The American one.
I haven't seen the American one.
Okay, I've seen both.
I remember I didn't get into horror until like late high school.
Okay.
And those movies were coming out when I was in like elementary school, and I just remember being very disturbed.
Of
by
course,
that. I
yeah.
remember being The Ring in particular.
Yes.
Shout out Gore Verbinski, director of my favorite, A Cure for Wellness. The imagery on the Ring videotape is genuinely really unsettling.
It's also like I remember like people like my friends or like just in general people would like prank or torture other people, like they would call and like do the whole like 7 days thing. And that to me like en masse, a movie that can affect culture en masse and like terrify and torture people like that is much more disturbing to me than like an hour and a half of just like extreme gore. Anyways, maybe that's just an academic theory and not really
I remember my middle school teacher told me a story after it's The Ring, right? After 7 days.
Yeah.
At one point, because back in the old days, I guess they used to have like these tube TVs in the corner because they would show movies and stuff to kids. And she was in the middle of a lecture, and it suddenly just goes to static quite loudly. And one of the classmates in the class just like jumps up and screams and goes, "It's my 7th day!" and runs out of the school.
I remember this story.
Yeah.
You told me this.
And they were like, "What was that about?" Yeah, they had seen The Ring. It's pretty great. that wasn't even a prank. That was just that's just a happy accident.
It's bad timing.
Yeah.
That's just bad timing.
Wow.
You know what? And it's funny we talk about the ratings because like I was also not into horror, and then the new release film
Fake
that got me
fans.
into horror was The Conjuring. Now that's a movie
Right.
that was advertised as it's rated R because it's so terrifying. You know, they used to play that stuff up like back in the 70s and 80s and stuff, and like there is not like a lot of gore in that film. That's another thing. You can only drop one F-bomb in a PG-13 if you exceed that with language that's R. So yeah, in terms of a movie that's like PG-13 that goes hard, that's kind of a tough one. I don't have like an immediate answer for this one. If anyone else has something.
I've got two. Alexis, what do you have? What's on your desk? Really? Nothing, guys.
Well, okay, so I Googled it too, just to like see what other people were saying. And the funny thing is our movie for today is always at the top of every list.
Makes sense to me.
So
I also thought it was interesting because I guess I didn't really understand the context that, what was it, the Temple of Doom was kind of the reason why we even have the modern PG-13 rating, and that it didn't really exist before 1984.
Yeah.
oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
And
good
that's why,
example.
like, Jaws, and so, like, Jaws and Poltergeist and things like that, they were technically PG, because, you had PG or you had R,
I mean, Poltergeist that's a crazy one. Like, someone does, like, pick their whole face apart. I
Yeah.
remember seeing that as a kid
Well,
and being like, Jesus Christ.
I was reading quite a lot, and it seemed like Spielberg was really famous for finagling his movies just under the PG rating, so that he wouldn't have an R-rated movie in theaters and more people could see it.
Toby Hooper directed Poltergeist. This is
Sorry.
everyone. No, this is my hobby horse. People talk about this a lot. People like to claim that Spielberg ghost directed that, and he didn't. That's a fucking Toby Hooper movie. God damn it, we love Toby
It's
Hooper
like
on the show.
it's like Nightmare Before Christmas and Tim Burton.
Yes, it's a Henry Selick movie.
yeah. I got to meet the director of Poltergeist 3. He was really sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like there's some horror sequels that I could catch up on. Poltergeist being one of them. I'm kind of curious.
Poltergeist 3 is interesting because tragically that little girl got very, very sick and
Yeah.
died in the middle. And Gary Sherman, the director, didn't want to continue making the film, but the studios effectively forced him to. So like the last scene, they have they're holding the girl, but it's obviously like a different girl. And it's just like this. It's always included in the cursed films, like documentaries and lists and stuff. But really, it's just tragic.
Yeah.
And very sad. Anyway,
Yeah, that's a bummer.
ratings. Go.
Okay. So my two PG-13 movies that get away with a good amount. One I watched this week, and that is M. Night Shyamalan's Old.
Oh.
How do you feel about Old, Kristen?
Okay, so I watched it on a plane once, but before I saw it, a friend of mine asked if I'd seen it, and I said no, and he goes, yeah, it's called Old, but they should have called it Bad.
Wow.
Got
The
him.
disrespect. The fucking disrespect.
You
I like
liked it?
Old. I find Old to be kind of beautiful, quite frankly.
Oh,
I really
man.
liked it on a rewatch.
M. Night Shyamalan just does this thing where he has these really awesome concepts, and then he fucking he can't get there in his process.
See, Old is one of the movies where I feel like he delivers the most on the concept, because he's really picking a lot of different angles to go at aging rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
The two moments in that movie that really stand out to me as we're getting away with some stuff is the tumor removal sequence.
Yeah.
Is fucking pretty gnarly. Obviously it doesn't quite get to these levels, but it kind of reminded me when they make the incision and start pulling the growth out of Prometheus.
Yeah.
And then the bit where the lady turned into pretzel, where she's crawling down the
Spoiler.
tunnel. Lady turned into pretzel. You should check out Old.
I
Man.
thought you were going to say the pregnancy thing.
The pregnancy
That
thing.
was rough
The
for
pregnancy
me.
thing is also really fucked up.
Yeah.
That's conceptually very fucked up.
That also put me off too, because you're having to think about what was a child effectively in this timeline 5 minutes ago,
Yeah.
then having sex and then getting. I don't love it.
I don't know. know. I
I
like
it's
that
a
movie. I
concept,
think it's
and I haven't even seen the movie.
it's very, I don't know. It's very Twilight Zone. It's very fucked up. I really like Old.
Good one. Good pick.
And then the other one, which one of my coworkers actually brought up to me last night, that I hadn't thought about for this question, but is like a good one, is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, I think, an early movie and like kind of really pushing me into getting into horror. I think that and Don't Breathe came out the same year.
Yeah.
And those two were pretty big for me. Just like really fun theater experiences.
Don't Breathe is rough.
Yeah, Don't Breathe is so fucking.
Is that PG-13?
Yeah.
That can't be PG-13.
No, it is not.
he gets-
I'm just saying they came out the same year.
That
I was
very
like,
end
no
sequence,
way.
no way, man.
Yeah, no, kids can see that.
I was actually going to say Cloverfield, like the first one. That's a PG-13 film.
Yeah.
And that goes pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like when she goes, I don't feel good, and then she just pops. You don't see
Right.
it, but it's behind the curtain. Like, that was pretty gnarly.
Well, you do see the barrel in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
That's
you
true.
see, what's his name? John Gallagher Jr. after, spoilers, after John Goodman kills him, he is dissolving in a barrel.
Yeah.
And also just like one of the great ominous moments in any movie is John Goodman just bringing out this tub, and they're like, what is this? The barrel. What's in it? Bring it outside.
I only saw the movie once, and it was a while ago. I need to try it again.
It's a fun watch.
Yeah.
Do we have that on the shelf? I used to have a copy of that, but no, it doesn't appear to be on the shelf.
You
Wow.
know what we do have on the shelf? That I think.
What do we have on
come
the
to-
shelf, Mick?
Come to think of it, this is a PG-13 film that goes pretty hard. It is not a spooky film, but Casino Royale is a PG-13 film that is pretty intense. Like, I'm speaking of the torture scene.
Yeah, I was about to say the torture scene.
Like
That's just fun.
That's pretty. That's pretty big rope swinging for a PG-13 film, because that goes there and then some. I love that film. That's a good like action film that really stretches its rating, I think.
The Dark
Nice.
Knight Rises probably gets close.
Really?
What
Dark
does?
Knight Rises?
Oh, Dark.
The Dark Knight
the
Rises.
third Christian Bale Batman movie?
Or are you thinking of the second one?
I'm never
think
going to
this-
escape this purgatory.
Is it the? Wait, hold on. Is it the second Christian Bale?
Because I
Batman,
feel
or
like the second one goes further in terms of the sliceage.
Is
There
that
is
not the
sliceage.
second one? It's
No,
the
no,
Dark,
Dark Knight
No,
Rises
it's
is the
Batman
third one.
Begins.
That's the
Batman
first
Begins
one.
is the first one.
Then the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Then the Dark
Then
Knight
the
Rises.
Dark Knight Rises.
You know what also I just realized is PG-13 is Disturbia.
I've never seen Disturbia.
Okay, I know we all hate Shia LaBeouf, but I loved Disturbia when it came out.
Mick.
Okay. We hate
Calm
him
down,
because he's a
Mick.
giant piece of shit who.
But we love Claudio Pulcher.
Yeah. I'm saying whatever. But Disturbia
you're
is
right.
super. Okay, Disturbia is like Rear Window, but reimagined.
Yeah.
And
I
there
love
are definitely like body bags with like really gory chopped off like body bits in
Okay.
it and stuff, and
Body
like
bits.
it's PG-13. Body bits, you know.
Love some body bits.
Anyways, it's fun. It's a good like cat and mouse type of thing.
Yeah, I remember that coming out. I kind of wish I'd seen that.
You should.
Well, why are we talking about PG-13 movies that get away with a lot? Thank you for asking. That is because our main film that we are covering today is a film from one of my favorite directors. This is Zack's Horror Mount Rushmore month. And that is because we're discussing Sam Raimi's 2009 film, rated PG-13, Drag Me to Hell. Here's the description. Christine Brown, Allison Lohman, has a loving boyfriend, Justin Long, and a great job at a Los Angeles bank. But her heavenly life becomes hellish when, in an effort to impress her boss, she denies an old woman's request for an extension on her home loan. In retaliation, the crone places a curse on Christine, threatening her soul with eternal damnation. Christine seeks a psychic's help to break the curse, but the price to save her soul may be more than she can pay. Yeah, sure. Google watched it, I think.
I think Google watched it.
this one. Now, all right, we're going to go around. Kristen, starting with you, when did you first see? What's your relationship to Drag Me to Hell? What do you think of it?
So, unlike the rest of these fake fans here, I've been into horror since I was a child. So,
Got us. Alexis, we've just been cooked.
but
Not
you,
been cooked.
Alexis. Not Alexis.
I think Alexis in
guys.
particular is cooked.
You boys, you call
Alexis is
white
the
boys.
most cooked. Fuck.
I think Alexis
Well,
is
Alexis
just
is one of
overcooked.
the boys. Alexis is one of the boys, though. Boys.
I think she's one of the boys.
So I do distinctly remember seeing this in theaters when I was in high school. And of course, like, you know, I did not have the language to distinguish directorial styles or understand horror comedy as valid cinema. So I wrote it off then too. And then I remember I watched it. I feel like maybe I watched it again maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and I think maybe I got it a little bit more, but like still didn't love it. And then I watched it again last night, and I texted Mick before I even finished it, and I was like, man, I forgot how much I actually really hate this movie. And it's just in this, I think also is a difference between Mick and I too, is like camp horror, while I appreciate what it does, I think the thing that bugs me about it is it feels like it can get away with anything because it's like, you don't get it because it's camp and, you know, exaggerated and whatever, and that's fine. I like to have a good time, but
Doesn't sound like you do.
I do like having a good time. I can name you several, several satirical horror films that I actually really like. This is just not one of them.
Interesting. Okay, I look forward to getting into this.
Yeah.
Mick, your relationship to Drag Me to Hell.
I thought I had a relationship to this movie, but I must be confusing it with something else because I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this. I like it. And then I was watching it and going, I don't think I've seen this ever. So I'm pretty sure this was a first time watch for me. And I like it, but I don't love it. I enjoy the comedy of it, the horror comedy of it. I enjoy the Sam Raimi-isms of it a lot. And when I mean the Sam Raimi-isms, I mean basically a very good setup and payoff story. It's very strong structurally, and the visuals with your Dutch angles and the pushing in on a door when someone's slamming on it. It's all very Evil Dead, and I get a kick out of that. But I don't know. It feels like a bit of a mid movie for me. I don't think this is my favorite Sam Raimi film, by and large.
I mean, I'd agree with you there. Alexis, Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, I also don't have a relationship to this movie. I've seen clips of this multiple times over the years, and I know that I walked in on my sister watching this movie for sure, like a couple times probably. My sister, I can't take the
She's a real fan.
She's a real fan.
She's a real Natalie
she's not like me and Mick.
Natalie has not been cooked at all. That girl's the one who taught me pretty much everything that I know about horror. I got from my sister, whether or not I wanted it. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay. For context, I got home from the play last night, and my nephew had people over, so I had to wait until they finished Ratatouille before I could watch this. And then
to be clear, a film that I do believe is better.
Yeah, I'd pick Ratatouille.
But Ratatouille is
a little,
Ratatouille
it's
kind of an
perfect,
all-timer
so.
5-star film.
Yeah. And then I was horizontal, and so 30 minutes into the film,
don't
just
be horizontal.
fucking knocked the fuck out. Thank God I woke up at 6:50 in a panic, and I was just like, what time is it? Like how she wakes up in the movie, and then I immediately was like, oh my God, how far did I get in the movie? I was like, oh fuck. I was like, oh thank God it's only an hour 38. And so then I just threw it back on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it was okay. I think that I've never seen The Evil Dead, but there's definitely some shots in it that I was like, this has got to be a Sam Raimi special. It just feels like the turning the camera on its axis into a Dutch angle.
The
You don't
goat.
see that, obviously, a lot.
The goat is
correction
basically the deer
corner.
head.
Correction corner. Alexis, you have seen Evil Dead 2. Because in Arcata, to be fair, we were all very inebriated. I did put it on during spooky season. And I remember Alexis was like, I like this. Like, I can see why you guys really like this.
Yeah, no, that did happen.
God.
I don't remember that at all.
That's okay.
At all.
That's hey,
How drunk was I?
that is the blessing and the curse of spooky season is that you will oftentimes be so drunk with your friends when you see a spooky movie that when you see it again, it's like watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
So for me, I've felt in the past kind of similarly to Mick with this movie. I watched this movie for the first time a few years back. I don't remember exactly when the first time I watched it was. I think it was in college. And then a couple of years ago, I got COVID and made it my COVID project to finish the filmography of Sam Raimi. Who is one of my guys, Kristen.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Listen,
Him and Ed Helms, man. Those are his boys.
Ed Helms is not. Stop it. Fuck. I hate this bit. I hate it. You're throwing me off. Anyways, I think, though, when I watched some of the Raimi movies I hadn't seen, I revisited Drag Me to Hell. Mm-hmm. And every time I've watched this movie since, which has been quite a few times, it has just improved for me greatly. It feels like Sam Raimi doing the thing that I wish Peter Jackson would do, where after he made his Spider-Man movies, he returned to his roots and took the resources that are afforded to someone who makes like the highest grossing movie of the year with Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 2. And like, I feel like used those resources to execute the kind of movie he would have made as a younger filmmaker, but like with all of that power behind him. And I think really, really effectively. Like this is one of my favorite movies to show to people who haven't seen it, because reliably, nobody thinks she's going to get dragged to hell at the end.
Sure, yeah.
It is such a surprise. And I think that like, it's just, it makes me smile every single time, because like, there's like 7 people who kind of deserve to get dragged to hell in this movie, and like, you feel
None of
bad
them
for her.
are-
It is brutal, but also like, kick that old lady out of her house. You know what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's 2009.
I was gonna say during the fucking housing crisis.
Yeah, like a weirdly kind of like fortuitous release time for this movie, because this script Sam Raimi wrote with his brother Ivan in like the 80s, and he, after making Spider-Man 3, dusted it off and like brought it out and was like, oh, okay, maybe I should try to find someone to make this. And he actually approached Edgar Wright with this script, being like, oh, would you kind of remind me of like a young me? Would you want to make this? And Edgar Wright was like, if like I could, but I'd just be doing a Sam Raimi impression. You should make this. And that kind of apparently was like a moment that sparked Sam Raimi to be like, oh, could I like go back and make this kind of movie again? And I'm so glad that he did, because like, yeah, this just has all of the Raimi shit that I love, and I feel like the PG-13 rating kind of makes him more creative in some ways. Like, you're getting anvils dropping on people's
So many
heads.
bugs.
So many bugs.
So many bugs.
Yeah,
bug
you're
business.
barfing maggots. You're getting eyeballs popping out of cakes. I just like that sort of like Looney Tunes sensibility.
I literally wrote, okay, sorry, I have my notes in front of me.
Please.
During the anvil part, I literally, in my notes said, quote, Looney Tunes ass horror movie, see also eyes popping out of skull.
Into her
Kristen-
mouth. Is it
Kristen, I get the sense that this is a negative for you. For me, that's the kind of shit that I love.
Yeah.
I was a Looney Tunes kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. This sort of sensibility is just like so my zone, that I like the bit with the goat
I like that. I will give the goat.
I love
the credit.
goat. I love all the fucking bugs. The staple popping out of Mrs. Ganush's eye before she like flies into the front of the car and her teeth pop out.
There's 2 times in that movie where Ganush opens her mouth and like hangs onto the bottom lip jaw of Christine. And
she's like toothless.
I don't like it.
Yeah, but like the way that she it's like they're kissing but they're not, and then like the formaldehyde. It's just it's in the car and then in the casket.
Yeah,
it happens.
It's so I don't really think that Sam Raimi was trying to like make a statement with this movie.
No,
that doesn't strike me as the kind of filmmaker he is.
No.
I think that he likes to do pretty like straightforward like morality plays, like, you know, don't open the evil book, don't deny the loan, like don't one of my favorite movies of his, A Simple Plan, don't take this money that you found. Like that, he likes to make movies about people who make a transgression, whether it's big or small, and then are kind of fucked.
You know, Beauty and the Beast does that too. The movie Beauty and the Beast. That's the whole reason that guy becomes a fucking animal. He doesn't let the old woman in. It's a very popular archetype.
Yeah. So this is all to say that like I don't think that he is someone who's like particularly concerned with like the complex, deeper themes of his narratives. I think he's a pretty straightforward filmmaker. But I do find it interesting how much like this movie can kind of be read as being about having an eating disorder.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
It's not the first person to say this, but like there's so much stuff with like eating and mouths and like Christine being attacked for being overweight. It's something that's there, and I don't think it's intentional, but like it is all throughout this movie, like to the point for me where I'm kind of surprised that it's probably not intentional because it's like so baked into it.
Yeah, she was the pig queen, right? When she was a kid.
Queen.
The pork queen. That's fascinating. I did not pick up on that, but yeah, if you told me that was like the subtext of the film, I would totally buy that as intentional. But that all makes sense with the eyeball poking up in like that the cake.
I think that there's something very interesting about like even if somebody's like not commenting on like a social issue, when the culture at large is so pervasive that it just seeps into like a movie in that way, you know, because like that era was really kind of coming, you hadn't come out of like the heroin chic kind of look yet, you know, like eating disorders and like People magazine saying like they gained 20 pounds, you know, was still like so huge.
Hey, listen, be careful with my girlfriend's employer. Come on, what are we doing here?
Oh no.
They all did it. Us Weekly too.
Say Us Weekly. It's paying her rent.
I think Sam Raimi responded. I read that he responded to that like theory, and he was like, that's not what we were trying to do. But also like, yeah, to Alexis's point, I think especially with male writers and filmmakers, they're like, what is the worst thing a woman could experience? Oh, she was fat once, you know what I mean? And like that kind of subconscious, like short, shallow imagining of what's terrifying and awful for women to go through it got in there.
Yeah.
You know?
It is also so interesting that like when she's really like kind of accepted that her life has fallen apart, that's when she starts to like eat ice cream again. And there was just something kind of almost grotesque about that being her. I don't even, it wasn't a comfort. It was almost like she was punished. It felt almost like she was like a flagellation. Is that what we would call that?
I think it was, yeah. Like she finishes the fudge sundae and she's like, I'll have another.
She's like,
and the
another
waitress
one.
is like, really?
To be fair, that also just feels, Sam Raimi being from the Midwest, that does feel like the most Midwestern thing possible is being at like like an ice cream bar and hitting it like you're an alcoholic. They love their dairy out there.
Well, she also had a tub of Turkey Hill too in that one scene with Justin Long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say that of things that I love about Sam Raimi, his ability to write complex women is not one of them.
Right.
I don't think that he, other than a simple plan, I don't think there are really any characters in Raimi movies who are women who I would describe as complex. Frances McDormand described her role in Darkman as the one time she, quote, played a bimbo. And, like, is friends with Sam Raimi. Like, he came up with the Coen brothers. They lived together at one point. But, yeah, I think that's very interesting, and I do not think that it's the most carefully considered aspect of this movie.
Yeah.
Well, Kristen, I'd love for you to talk about some stuff that you don't like about Drag Me to Hell, because I'm very in the pocket for this movie. Mick and Alexis kind of in the middle. It seems like you hated it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, so much of it is like, I like a Dutch angle. That's fine. And I understand that it's Raimi's like directorial what's the word, signature, I guess. And that's fine. It made me a little motion sick at times. Not even just the Dutch angle, but like the whole anvil thing where like the camera like follows the line, then it jumps down to the anvil, and then it falls again. Like there's just like so much of that. But that's little nitty gritty stuff. We just covered some of the like what most of my critique was is this whole eating thing I didn't love. But also I was trying to like pin this when I was texting Mick last night. I was like, it's not, it's almost like the style of it is so like surrealist or like 2000s for a 2009 film. It feels early 2000s. What's the lead actress's name?
Alison Lohman.
Alison Lohman. Yeah. All I could think when watching her was her in Big Fish. And that's.
Oh yeah, she is in Big Fish.
She's in Big Fish.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it the first two times I saw it, but then I put it on last night. I was like, oh, fucking Big Fish. And, I think that was probably a purposeful choice to cast that kind of person. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't know, watching her in that kind of movie like really irked me for some reason.
Well, it was almost Elliot Page in this movie. He had to drop out.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he had to drop out, I believe, to do... Might have been
Juno.
No, Juno was 2007.
Yeah.
It might have been Inception, although that would be weird because Dileep Rao is in this movie.
Yeah.
It might have been
there was some
because
project
Inception was
that
2010.
he had to drop. Yeah, he had to drop out to do something. But again, I'd be surprised if it's Inception because there is an Inception actor in this movie.
Yeah.
Dileep Rao, the guy who plays the
right.
psychic.
Yeah,
He's driving the van in Inception.
I
knew
was
I
like,
recognized
oh,
him.
where's he from? And then I was like, oh yeah, he's in Inception.
Well, he's in another 2009 film as well.
Yeah.
I don't like that actor.
A great 2009 film.
You don't like him?
I like him. I enjoy him.
I never buy him in anything. He's always
He had
he's
a
always
huge
the weakest
18
part
months.
of the film.
Yeah.
Man.
Wow.
And he's like the only actor in his family too. I think I read like his like mom's a doctor, dad's like a lawyer, sister's another doctor, and then he's like, I'm gonna act.
I like
he's
him.
the black sheep of the family.
He's the black sheep.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like him too.
Yeah, I like him in this movie. I think he's very good. And like watching the behind the scenes was like very kind of deep in like research for this character. Like it seemed like a very.
You can tell when I was
I
watching.
think you can. I really like him. Don't be a shithead. I think he's good in this movie.
Well, here's the thing. His character to me is like he's taking it so seriously. Like especially
Right.
during like it's not like exactly a seance, but it's kind of like a seance.
It's a seance.
It feels like he's the only one that doesn't know what movie he's in. Like he's taking it seriously, and I give him credit for that. But he's like this to him. He's in a horror film that has a different color temperature than this film.
I don't really agree with that. I think that I kind of like that he takes a more serious bent because I think it's kind of an unexpected choice for like this guy who's like kind of the like dime store psychic guy. to be sort of the voice of reason and be like very kind of sober and professional and dialed in. I really like that performance.
I also think, yeah. Oh, sorry, Alexis.
No, I really like that he kind of like brings levity to the situation, but it's also like it defies your expectation, especially probably back in like 2009 of the, you know, the typical trope, I guess. And then also I think we assume that the medium would usually be like a woman, you know? So I think it's really great that they got him to play the part.
I think instinctually or stylistically, I agree with what Mick is saying. I didn't love that was the direction they took with him. However, I think it was the right choice given who he is, because I feel like if they were going to have him play a more satirical medium, that could get really dicey, like culturally.
Yes.
And I would rather prefer to not like the choice of tone over not like a possible
The caricature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that also jogged my memory of something else I wanted to say about it is like there's almost a scary movie tone to Drag Me to Hell.
How dare you?
To me, that's like
a movie
like,
I can't get through.
well, I mean, like a little, but like, but almost like it. There's a tone to it, but it doesn't quite like get there. And I think that kind of bothers me because it's technically a horror comedy, right? Which is a hall pass for a lot of outrageous stuff. But there are different kinds of horror comedy, and like Scary Movie is purely just dumb, fun, satirical. Whereas I don't think Drag Me to Hell is purely that. It's just stylistically that. But there's like this there's like this thing where that's getting kind of combined for me, and I'm just like, pick which kind of horror comedy you want to be already.
See, this exists for me in a similar zone to Evil Dead 2, where I think this perfectly nails the line between horror and comedy. Like this rides it out exactly right for me. It has like kind of that like haunted house feel to it, where like you're excited, you're not necessarily disturbed, but like there are really well executed set pieces, like really solid makeup, and like it's genuinely surprising and like ends on a note of like kind of dread and despair that I really enjoy. Like I think that's for me kind of the perfect zone for horror comedy, where it is funny and it is fun, but like it is still life and death to the characters in a way that I find to be believable. Like I find Alison Lohman's like desperation in this movie really like believable and sympathetic, even though I'm also like, yeah, you fucking work at a bank in 2009, like go to hell. You know, get dragged there. It would be better if, you know, Stu could get dragged there. I wouldn't have been sad if Stu went there. He did probably deserve it more.
Stu was so distracting for me.
Stu's such a piece of shit.
I just immediately think of Pirates of the Caribbean every time I see Stu. He's in
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, he's in the second Pirates of the Caribbean, where he's the guy that like betrays Will and everyone, and he's putting on a really thick Asian accent. And when he's in this, I'm like, oh, this guy's just straight up an American. Interesting. Interesting creative choice for Pirates of the Caribbean then.
No.
I mean, listen, we want to talk about movies that get a little racially insensitive. Pirates too.
Yeah, let's be honest.
I figured out why Elliot Page couldn't do this movie, and it's because they did Whip It, which also came out in 2009, and I think that was the better choice because I fucking love Whip It.
Seen Whip It.
Yeah, no, it was a good movie.
I personally think this movie works better with Alison Lohman. I agree. I think Elliot Page reads kind of kind of, I don't want to say too smart, but like, it's probably not the right.
Not naive enough.
Not naive enough. And I think I buy Elliot Page, and maybe it's because I've seen Hard Candy, being cruel more. Sure. Like it's kind of surprising when you see like Alison Lohman's like facade of like, oh, I believe I'm a good person. Like when you see that crack and when you see her snap at people, like I think that's effective and surprising. I think that stuff really works.
I also think that was an interesting theme too with how Drag Me to Hell ends, in that like one of the last lines she says is something to the, like she takes ownership. She essentially says, I had the ability to extend for Mrs. Ganush and I didn't. I could have done that. That was the only time in the movie where she actually admits it. There's like when she goes to knock on the door and the granddaughter answers, she says like, "Oh, it wasn't me. That it was a bank that took the house, and I only work there. And my boss told me to do it." So you would think that the admission might have been like the key to saving or breaking a curse, but that doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
And it it still ends up the same. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think that it is a movie about like you shouldn't fucking participate in these systems. Like it's even again. I think that this is the like horrors of capitalism, and like I don't know that is really intended either, but I think that stuff also really works and plays a lot stronger. Like I think that this is the great like financial crisis movie. I really think that all of that stuff is very effective. Also, shout out to our boy, Justin Long. Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back, Justin Long. I was like thinking at the beginning of the movie, like, gosh, I would love for Justin Long to be my movie boyfriend,
Yeah.
It's interesting because like Justin Long is so likable. And I think he is most effectively deployed when you kind of want to fucking strangle him.
Yeah.
Like where you almost don't like him, but then he does things that are somewhat likable.
Yeah. Well, he teeters the line a little bit in the beginning of this film, and then he really ends up proving himself.
It's funny watching this movie, like, with Justin Long being like, oh, it's the good thing this guy doesn't have a little shrunken monkey head. Oh wait, there it is. Like
that one got me. I did laugh.
It's funny, but like also it's interesting because like in the context of real life, if this sort of thing was like, if someone was like, oh, I really want to go to this psychic, I personally, I do not enjoy that stuff so much. And I probably would be Justin Long in this scenario.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
In context of this movie, I'm like, you're fucking wrong, Justin Long. You're fucking Christine Over. Get on board, buddy.
Yeah.
I think him being like, kind of charming and a little smarmy, like it plays worse in the context of a horror movie. Like it plays more annoying than it would if in like a comedy, which he was doing a lot of during this time period.
Yeah. I feel like he's just not that into you probably came out around the same time.
Yeah, I think
2009, yep.
Accepted also.
Accepted. Oh my god, I fucking love Accepted. I was just
2006.
talking about this the other day.
Yeah, I remember that movie. That made a huge splash that summer.
Yeah.
I kind of, when I was rewatching and I was remembering things, I was like, oh yeah, he's a psychologist. I was like, oh, okay, so it's going to be you need mental help and whatever. But actually, like, he doesn't really do so much of that. Like, in the beginning, he tries to be like, you're stressed out, like, whatever. But, like, once we get kind of to the midpoint of the movie, he's mostly just, like, he drops her ass off at the fucking haunted house and is like, see you later, babe. Like, like he could have easily have been like, I am a doctor and I can, play that role or whatever. But
yeah, I like that he brings her to meet his stuffy, insufferable parents, and it goes completely wrong, and it results
also
in
him. Get dragged to hell.
It results in him buying her a fucking diamond ring. He stands by her through that, and that was surprising to me, just in terms of the typical archetypes of boyfriends you get in this era of films. The fact that he stuck by her, and even at the end was like, oh, it cost fucking 10 grand cash to talk to this medium. I paid for it because I don't know how I feel about it, but obviously this is very important to you, so therefore, ergo, it's important to me. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic, which is why, I don't love this movie. I do like the horror comedy aspects of it and how goofy it is, but what is not goofy is the last 5 minutes. Like, it's the ending to this is disturbing. Make no mistake. This is a disturbing ending. The way she falls through, they're pulling at her, and her face, it is CGI, so it doesn't look great, but the way her face just begins to turn demonic because she's being torn apart by the underworld. And then Justin Long's reaction, where there's a tear in his eye and he's just freaking out that the woman that he was about to propose to just got dragged to hell, and then it just ends. You feel like shit. You feel like shit at the end of this film, and I think that's its most...
I didn't feel like shit.
I remember the first time I saw it, I did.
Yeah, because again, this was basically my first time watching it, so it just made you feel like, well, fuck me then, okay. So I think that's the strongest aspect of the movie.
Yeah.
I think this movie just... There's been so many clips of it on the internet of just like, I think because there are so many just kind of like gross out moments, that like I've seen bits and pieces of it, you know, just kind of out of context. And I also am always like, there's no throwaway moments. So when he gets the coin and it goes into the envelope, as soon as she loses sight of the envelope in the car, I'm like, well, it's over. You don't have the right envelope. So I think I watched that whole last sequence where she goes to the grave and everything, just thinking, well, this is pointless because I knew that she was fucked already. So I was like, all right, girl. And then she's like, da-da-da-da, you fuck you, bitch. And I was like, well, you know,
that's a Liberty
all for
coin.
naught.
I can tell you.
It left me. I didn't.
Yeah, I can tell you this. I watched this at. I'm working at a florist shop right now. I watched this at work, and my coworker Mel definitely did not see this coming.
Oh.
She was fucking shocked.
Oh no!
Which again is one of my. She had a good time. She liked this movie. But yeah, definitely didn't track the envelope thing, because when she got dragged to hell, it's the reason why it's one of my favorite movies to show people for the first time, because I feel like most people don't track the envelope. I think it's a good subtle setup.
I didn't track it. I forgot about it.
But it may also be that possibly, maybe I saw that part twice. It's possible. I don't really know where the overlap of that was when I fell asleep.
Alexis was fucking asleep.
His Justin Long's emotionality. I don't think it's a single tear. I think that man is like,
he's crying. His
eyes are like red, and it's just like pools of water around his eye. Like he delivers on that last shot.
They're definitely swelling in that shot. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's welling, Mick, and you know it.
Justin Long is like one of the OG Scream Kings. You know?
One of the few.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about another Scream King.
Okay.
Of the Sam Raimi oeuvre.
Oh.
Mr. Bruce Campbell.
Oh, God.
Because I was thinking about him.
Does he have a cameo?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, damn.
But I was thinking about him when I was watching the behind the scenes of this movie, because I was watching the bit where they're executing this sequence in the grave, and they talk about how they wanted to do like makeup, right? Mm-hmm. You feel free to jump on this if you'd like. But they... Alison Lohman was like having a reaction. She was breaking out into hives with the stuff that they were using to put on her. So eventually they were like, okay, we got to use real mud. We're going to use this. Eventually they like landed on this like really high end like spa grade mud. And she's like talking about it in the behind the scenes. And she's like, yeah, you know, it's like I'm in this grave for like several days, but it's kind of like I'm getting like a cleanse. And I'm just thinking like, Bruce Campbell is watching this, screaming, crying, and throwing up, thinking about how Sam Raimi kept him in a fucking cabin for months on end, just throwing him into shit and spraying shit in his mouth, and just being like, do it again, Bruce, do it again.
Yeah.
Because he's his buddy from high school, and he could just fucking abuse him.
All I was going to say is I think that's especially bad with that scene, just because it's so, like, to me, that grave scene is so obviously, like, a, like, superimposed image of Evil Dead. Like, so, like, she literally stands up. There's a Dutch angle. She stands up, and she goes to like reach out of the grave. So
Oh, yeah.
So it
it's the Evil Dead poster.
Yeah. So like that, I feel like is like insult to injury almost. Like knowing that, like where she's like, yeah, I'm just like Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead, and I also get a spa day.
Bruce is just like, no, it's not. It's not like that at all. I had to be up at 3 a.m. every morning for Evil Dead 2.
Yo, did anybody
And Sam
else...
had me moving lights.
Did anybody else clock Octavia Spencer in the bank scene?
No.
No. She's in Spider-Man, right?
She's in Spider-Man. She's in The Shape of Water.
Well, she's...
Well, Sam Raimi, that's what you're saying.
But yeah, it
she's
was
in
like
Spider-Man.
before she had like broken out.
Yeah, she was in Spider. She was in
Is she
Spider-Man.
like a
but she's
featured
also...
background actor?
No, she's in the she has a speaking role in Spider-Man. She's the
No, I mean in this.
Oh, in this?
She
I
doesn't
didn't even see
speak.
her.
She's in the bank. She's one of the other bank employees, and I think she's in the background of like when the woman's getting taken away.
Wow.
Like the security guards. Kind of in that general, like the very first third of the movie is when you see her in like one scene a few times, and I was like immediately I was like, oh god, is that
Nice, good catch.
Octavia
Wow,
Spencer?
I've seen this movie many times. I've never clocked that.
Never
Oh,
clocked
did you
it.
clock? Did you
Wow.
guys clock the newspaper? Where it's the obituary for Mrs. Ganoush, and I paused it and like read the newspaper, and it said something to the effect of like, family members dispute actual age of Mrs. Ganoush due to a missing birth certificate or whatever. Like insinuating that nobody actually knew how old she was or like when she was
interesting.
born. So like I guess saying like that she's just, I don't know, this like ethereal old crone that can live forever or whatever. We don't even know. I thought it was kind of interesting.
I didn't clock that at all.
I want to talk about Ganoush a little bit because the thing that I
Baba
don't
Ganoush.
love about this film is a lot of the CGI elements that have not aged super well. They do seem like it was rushed, or they just didn't have a big budget for CGI for this film, considering all the effects that were capable at this time.
I think it's the typical Sam Raimi thing, right? Like, of you give him, you know, you give him $30 million and he's going to try to make a $60 million movie.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, you look at any of the Evil Deads, it's like he is shooting for more than he can execute to like the full level of believability, which I'm kind of charmed by. I love his
I think
zeal.
it's more glaring in this though, just because it by virtue of it being a CGI effect that hasn't aged well, it dates it quite a bit, which is why I do feel like this is Sam Raimi's well-made but kind of average mid-2000s horror film. But what does work for me quite a bit, and I think is the most effective part of the whole movie, is Ganoush the crone. I find her pretty terrifying. I love her look. I love her dead eye. I love the nails that's always clacking on the table. I love that. I just love the visuals of her. I love that she drives an Oldsmobile from Evil Dead.
She drives the Raimi
She drives
car.
Sam Raimi's car. That's always great. But yeah, anytime that she would just appear on screen as a jump scare, whether it's on the phone or whether it's through that goddamn handkerchief, that works for me quite a bit. I find the Ganoush part of it to be very, very well done.
It's interesting. Like, I fully recognize that there are some CG effects in this movie that don't age well. The only one that I really like takes me out of it with consistency is the handkerchief. Like, there's something.
That one's egregious.
There's something about that. I'm just like, all right, come on, guys, we couldn't.
It's implying it's implying that it's this like freewheeling wind that's pushing this thing around, and by virtue is supposed to be like unpredictable, but there's a clear path, and almost would have maybe still been kind of like noticeably fake if they'd strung fishing wire through it to move it, but like at least the cloth would have been texturized in like a realistic way.
Yeah, I think that would have been the way to go. I agree.
What's the name of the demon in this? It starts with an L.
Lamia.
Lamia,
yeah. That doesn't quite work for me. Like the shadow effects and everything.
I like the shadow effects. I think those are really fun.
I don't know what it is, but I love seeing hooves in shadows because I
literally did. There was a minute where I considered making our big topic for this episode favorite movie goats.
Yeah, this is confession corner. This sounds like a confession corner, Alexis.
I don't know if it's like growing up like Catholic and going to Catholic school and just like there being so much, I don't know, just my whole life, you know, there's so much discussion of like hell and the devil and, you know, not being allowed to wear Halloween costumes to school that were considered demonic. So I was never allowed to be a witch. So I always had 2 costumes every year. I was something at school and then I was always a witch at home when I would do like trick or treating.
Rock and roll, brother.
Rock and roll. That's right. You know, anything that kind of has to do with like imagery that is like associated with the devil is always very fun for me. So anything that like has to do with like the goats, you know, like in The Witch and things like that, I love that. I don't know what it is exactly.
Alexis, have you seen Insidious?
Yes.
That has excellent hoof content.
Yeah,
that is excellent hoof content. You're right.
What are our top 10 movie hooves?
This was when I was like thinking about how I would like dissect it. So it's funny, like when I did Possession with you guys, my notes on that were like crazy paragraphs of like picking apart like the academia of Possession, and then I got to Drag Me to Hell, and it's a document of just like bullet points and lots of question marks and exclamation points after just like stupid one-liners. But the one like academic read I feel like I could give Drag Me to Hell is the use of the old crone archetype and like how that like how that's been represented in horror and like what that means, I guess.
Speaking of the substance.
Right, exactly, yeah. Like, it's interesting because, like, I've read text that, like, the old crone is the opposite of the old wise man archetype, but, like, the crone doesn't get the favorability that I don't know, we're disgusted by her, we're afraid of her. I have a friend that wrote a zine called Hagsploitation. Actually, the same person that wrote that Final Girl zine that we both have, Mick, she wrote one called Hagsploitation, and it's all about old crones in horror.
Cool.
So I think I don't know. I was the most interested as far as characters in this movie go. I think the old crone archetype is like really fun and interesting to like break down. But
yeah, I really like Lorna Raver in this movie. I also really like her in the behind the scenes. She is charming. Just seems like the sweetest fucking woman, and I love her talking about this movie and being like, yeah, she's mostly a theater actress, and she was like, when I auditioned for this, it was just the bank scene. So when I got the part, I was like, oh my goodness, let's go. Like she fully did not realize the extent to which Ganesh is in this movie.
I feel like theater definitely helped her. Her performance here.
See, that's an actor that is fully aware of the film she's in and absolutely crushes it.
I think that it's the like crone aspect of this is interesting because I think that like, you know, from Christine's perspective and like the way we are supposed to view Ganesh and like the horror sequences we have with her, like she is kind of like disgusting and repellent, but like in the context of watching this movie as like a financial crash movie, I'm very sympathetic to Mrs. Ganesh.
Sympathetic, but it's also like we are disgusted by some of her action, and I think in any financial crisis or economic crisis, we tend to find older people the most expendable.
Yes.
And so. But I definitely feel it. I'm not saying I didn't feel sympathy for her, but it's just those brief. I think that's why, like the mucus being spit into her handkerchief and all. Like we're supposed to, I feel like we were supposed to feel disgusted with her just so that we could maybe justify, even if we felt bad.
For sure, I think we're supposed to see her how Christine sees her,
right,
and I think that like that's something that I really like revisiting this movie is, you know, watching Christine, who's this person who, you know, views herself as like a good person, like kind of become more callous and cruel and like consider, you know, sending this poor old man who's at the diner on the breathing machine to hell before his wife shows up. Like I like that, like, because we're locked into how Christine sees Mrs. Ganush, she is this kind of crone, and our sympathies aren't with her, but like when you step back and look at like the events of the movie, it's like, no, that actually is really fucked up. Yeah. Like I too would like to send Christine to hell.
I think that it makes a lot of sense in what we see of Christine, like up until that point, like understanding that she was fat at one point, and that she comes from a small town, and now she lives in LA. And these are all things that she hates about herself. Mm-hmm. And that, in fact, she has, like, probably a lot of, like, self-disgust. Mm-hmm. And that she wants more, I guess, for herself than whatever it was that she has. And she wants more in the way that she wants to be, have a place in society that is higher than what she's had before. And I think just like that, like understanding that like level of like self-hatred makes so much sense as to why she can like flip the switch. Because I think people who like love themselves, they love what is inside of them, you know, which is like their kindness and their morality and like their characteristic traits, you know. Whereas what Christine is like trying to like prize is pretty much everything that is external, the way that she looks, the way that she's presented to the world by her job and her boyfriend, and, you know, to her boyfriend's parents, you know, her place in society. So yeah, I guess you are right that it is just like a morality play by large.
Yeah, I do, another aspect of this movie that I find very funny that I just do want to shout out is Justin Long going like, hey, you need to just relax. Let's take a weekend away at the cabin. And it's like, no, don't do that in a Sam Raimi movie. Yeah. Don't do that. That's the worst place you can go.
Yeah, I caught that too.
Don't go to the fucking cabin, guys.
R.I.P. Cat.
I was just going to say that was my biggest laugh of this film, was when she learns that in order to get rid of this, possibly to get rid of this curse, you have to make an animal sacrifice. And she reads that once, and then it cuts to her holding a knife going, here, kitty, kitty,
here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Yeah, okay, that was a little funny up until the point you see the kitten in the laundry basket, and then I'm like, no, it's not funny anymore. You should stop. Just let them kill you.
And then she pulls it out of her mouth.
And like you have a brief moment where you're like, oh, maybe the cat's alive. And then it's
back. Yeah, it's just super dead and slimy, and like it clearly has gone through rigor mortis. That was awful.
Kristen, I just really appreciate the dichotomy of horror movies we brought you on for.
I know.
I feel like
I've been thinking about it all morning.
Really.
Have you been feeling good about it all morning? Because I got you up pretty early to talk about a movie you didn't like.
I know. Oh, trust me, I thought about that too.
Thank you for coming in.
No, I need to. What I know about myself is I know I can pigeonhole and I can take myself and everything like really seriously. But again, like there are other like I don't know if you guys have seen You Might Be the Killer. Really love. That's a great horror comedy, like satirical thing.
It's going on my list.
What was the other one? Scare Package. I fucking love Scare Package. I have a great time with Scare Package.
Seen it.
Okay,
wow.
So I'm just
throwing me some horror comedies to watch.
Just to defend myself, I'm not above. I don't turn my
You're
nose
not
up at it.
anti-fun.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of fun easily, maybe.
Mick is anti-love, so, you know, in between being anti-fun and anti-love and anti-art, a la the film Megalopolis, you know, we can take being anti-fun. I feel like that's a less spurious accusation.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is exactly my kind of shit. Like this. How do you feel about Brain Dead?
Actually, I haven't seen Brain Dead.
Oh, girl, you got to see that one.
Yeah, I think honestly for you, Kristen, judging by like the movies we've seen and we've discussed on this podcast, I think Brain Dead would be an interesting litmus test for you.
1990.
Yeah, I'd be very
92,
curious.
I think.
Adam Simon?
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson.
It's also Dead Alive.
Oh, it's Dead Alive. Okay, yeah, I have Dead Alive, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that is because I've thought about this quite a bit actually. Considering Kristen, you've mentioned that like you're not you can't appreciate horror camp, but you're not as you said last night a camp girly. That's why I would be
that was my text.
fascinated.
I'm not a camp girly.
I would be fascinated to hear your take on Dead Alive because good God, is that quite the film?
That's how I am about ghosts.
Oh, that's my favorite. What is wrong with you people?
I'm not a ghost guy, but I can appreciate ghosts.
I'm a big
There
ghost
are ghost movies I like.
Ghost girly.
Ghost girlies.
And you know what? That's the beauty of the horror genre is it contains multitudes. There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
I have a note. I don't know. I'm not 100%. I've seen Alison Lohman in obviously Big Fish, but a really big movie that I used to watch like a lot growing up was White Oleander, which came out in 2002.
Haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, love it. It's based off of a book. I've read the book like multiple times. Big sad. It's heavy topics and stuff, but I don't know. And I've seen her in Matchstick Men. Sometimes I think it's kind of the problem that I had like with Anna Kendrick in the last 5 years. Sometimes I don't see her face move.
Oh no!
Like she's having some sort of like an emotional scene, but like I don't actually see like her face move in facial expressions, and it's something that always kind of takes me out of a movie for some reason because I think I expect to see somebody have even micro expressions because I feel like I'm very attuned to people having micro expressions in real life. And so when I see somebody like having an affect like in their voice or their body language, but then there's no actual expression in their face going on, it really, really takes me out of it. So that is kind of my one bone to pick with Alison Lohman is that she has a very flat affect at times.
You know who I just realized Alison Lohman, now that you're saying that, she reminds me of the actress who played Miss Honey in in Matilda.
Oh, it's been so long since
She
I've seen
doesn't
Matilda.
move her face. I on the lead up to my overnight for the short for Vermin. I instead of watching horror movies, I was like, I'm gonna watch my like childhood comfort movies. So Matilda was one movie I watched. I was staying up overnight. Don't look at me like that. I have issues.
That's a good film, but oh my God, is that a gross film? That is a gross
Matilda.
movie.
Oh yeah. Talk about the cake. Scene
the cake. It's the cake.
The cake
I
scene
can't do
is
the
like
cake.
really hard. But the actress that plays Miss Honey doesn't. I thought this when I was watching it again. I was like, she doesn't move her mouth. She doesn't move her eyebrows. Like she, I don't know. Yeah,
Blink
she
twice
looks a lot
if you're
like
in
her.
trouble.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, sorry. That we derailed.
No, it's okay.
She's also in the remake of 13 Ghosts.
Oh,
Ooh, the ghost girl.
talk about a movie I don't fucking like.
Oh my God! I need to go. I need to fucking go right now.
I gotta get out of here.
Wow.
Kristen, we have such similar interests, but we're from such different worlds at the same time.
He's just a boy. She's just a girl.
Inside you, there are two wolves. 13 ghosts, girl, drag me to hell, boy. The two genders.
Oh shit. Okay, sorry.
No, so I feel like we could get into final thoughts on this movie. We've probably talked about this longer than the runtime of Drag Me to Hell now. Kristen, I'll throw it to you.
Why me? Okay.
Because you're our guest, and I appreciate you coming out.
I understand and appreciate why Drag Me to Hell is fun. And it's just not for me, but having said that, I appreciate like the amount of work objectively that it took to make that film. And there are like little nuances, like in Justin Long's character. Like he could have been written a certain way. His character could have said very predictable, easy things, or acted a certain way and didn't. So there seemed to be some thought about the way the characters are written and stuff. So I'll give it that. However, I will never watch this movie again.
Wow.
And that's my thought.
Well, thank you for watching it for us.
Yeah.
I'll go next really quickly. This movie, it kind of brought to mind The Killer by David Fincher that came out, I think, last year, in the sense that is a exceedingly average script that is done well by a great director. And that's kind of how I feel about Drag Me to Hell, where it's like, you feel like you've seen this movie before. It looks like so many of the other horror films that were coming out at the time. It doesn't feel particularly special, but it is made very well by a very talented director, and especially, again, the structure, the setup and payoff of the coin and the button. Again, I forgot about, so at the end when it happens, I was pleasantly surprised / horrified. I think the ending is very, very strong in this film, and you know, you kind of have to just be with the first, you know, 3/4 of it just to get to that last bit, because it is kind of worth it. The horror comedy works, but yeah, I don't know if I'll be, you know, I don't know if this would ever be in my rotation during spooky season to see. But I appreciate it. I think it's fine. I think it works for what it is.
Alexis?
I can appreciate wherever it lands in the horror zeitgeist. It is also not for me. It's just very funny because I loved Brain Dead, Dead Alive so much, which is so gross, you know, but it's so gross and like wacky, you know, but this is just too much vomit for me. Like, there's just too much vomit in the mouth. Like, I was in like physical pain like every time she opened her mouth and just like threw up into Christine's
the formaldehyde
mouth.
that was just pouring in.
The formaldehyde, the bugs. When she was gumming on her chin, I was like, no, not the spit. I felt like in agony when I saw her gumming and just drooling on her, because I hate it when people have, I'm not a baby person. I don't ever intend to be a baby person, you know?
I'm just a baby.
Drool. I am just a baby. You know, like, don't like drool other than like my own that I wake up with in the morning, you know?
Gross.
You like that?
Yeah, I know, like Alexis looks at her wet pillow and goes, I like that. Sick.
Hey, it's different when it comes from you and you're just like, okay, whatever. But if it's somebody else, then it's like, oh my God, get off of me, you know? This movie's not for me, but I can appreciate many things about it. But yeah, I think it's average. So,
well, I will say I don't agree that this is a generic film. I don't agree that this is a movie that looks like other movies of its time. Effects-wise, maybe, but in terms of the way this is shot, absolutely not. It's shot like a fucking Sam Raimi movie, and that's one of my favorite things. I think that this has one of my favorite fuck you horror endings of all time. I love that the movie is called Drag Me to Hell, and it can still surprise you by dragging the protagonist to hell at the end. I think that is a really neat trick. And yeah, I just this is my zone. This is my zone of horror. I love getting silly with it, and Sam Raimi is one of the silliest, and I'll always respect him for it. I'm glad we got to talk about him again.
Where are we going next?
Well, we're talking about another one of my guys. This is the year we're doing my guys. We are returning.
Which Ed Helms film are we watching now?
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It's Tag. We're watching Tag. No.
Are we watching Hangover?
I don't like that movie. It's not good when the most memorable line from your movie is just a slur. The Hangover fucking sucks. No, we are returning to a filmmaker who we haven't talked about since our 4th episode of this podcast.
Hell yeah.
And that is probably my favorite guy, Mr. John Carpenter. The man, the myth, the motherfucking legend. And, you know, he's made so many famous, indelible horror movies. Check out the Zack's Halloween Spooktacular list. Later down the line, we'll be watching The Fog. But I want to talk about one of his less discussed movies that I like quite a bit, and that is 1994's In the Mouth of Madness. We're talking Sam Neill again. One of the most represented actors on this podcast.
Have you guys done Jurassic Park?
We haven't. Oh. We haven't done Jurassic Park. We've done Possession. We've done what was it? Dead Calm, and we've done Hunt for the Wilder People.
So this is our fourth Sam Neill, man.
We'll get to Jurassic Park when we fucking get to it. Listen, we've talked about 3 Coppola movies, and none of them have been The Godfather. We're saving some. But no, this is I really love this movie, and I can't wait to discuss it. And if you're looking for it, you can find it wherever you rent your movies, or you can find it on our shelf. Kristen, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you getting up early. Is there anything you would like to plug?
Okay, well, now I have stuff.
Fuck yeah, you do.
Yeah, sorry, but yeah, in the beginning I was talking about my horror short, Vermin, is picture locked. We're hoping to have it edited before Halloween. And then probably next year it'll start making its festival, hopefully start making its festival rounds, which is super exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And then, you know, it's not really a plug, but I've just gone back to my writing desk and I'm doing that. So if anyone wants to hire me to write something, one of my scripts is a finalist at FilmQuest this year.
Fuck yeah.
So I can do it. Please let me. I'm so
money,
sad.
me, money. Having a lot now.
Put me in the game, coach.
Please, I'm ready to play. But yeah, other than that, just making movies, hanging out with friends, trying to survive.
What's better than
Living
that?
the life.
Living life.
Well, if you'd like to find us, the Film Majors, you can find us on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at FilmMajorsPod. You can email us at filmmajorspod@gmail.com, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube at The Film Majors.
And that's just...
Thank you, Mick. I was waiting. That's pretty much it. You know, like, just go, you know, enjoy the rest of your day. Go outside, you know, and it's spooky season. Go to a haunted house. Have some candy corn.
Gross.
I'm gonna keep vamping. I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna refuse to end this episode. I'm gonna keep saying fall things. Carve a jack-o'-lantern. Bob for apples. Okay.
Hide a body.
There we go. Thank you, Kristen.